My name is Natalie Parker. I was 24 years old the night my entire future was placed on my doorstep in a wet car seat. 10 years later, I sat in a family courtroom with my hands folded so tightly my knuckles ached, listening to my own parents swear under oath that I had stolen a child from her real family. My sister sat across from me in a soft floral dress, crying at the perfect moments, acting like the heartbroken mother she had never been. My parents sat behind her, nodding as if the last decade had not happened, as if they had not told me, "She's your burden now," when I called them in panic with a 3-month-old baby in my arms. Their attorney described me as controlling, selfish, and unfit to keep raising the little girl who called me mom. I did not interrupt. I did not cry. I waited. Then my lawyer handed the judge a sealed folder. The courtroom went quiet as he opened it. His expression changed before he even reached the third page. He looked over his glasses at my sister, then at my parents, and finally back at me. "Do they even know what you have?" he asked. I nodded once. My sister's face went pale. My mother gripped her purse like it could save her. My father finally stopped looking so certain, because inside that folder was not just proof of abandonment, it was proof of a plan they never thought I would uncover. Before I tell you what was inside that folder, and what happened after the judge asked that question, tell me, what time is it where you are right now, and where are you watching from? I want to know how far this story travels, because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that love is not proven by blood. It is proven by who stays. 10 years earlier, I had just come home from a 12-hour shift at Memorial Hospital, where I worked as a pediatric nurse. I was exhausted, still in my scrubs, with my hair falling out of its clip and my dinner cooling on the coffee table. My boyfriend at the time had left me a voicemail earlier that evening, talking about apartment listings, weekend plans, and the kind of life we were supposedly building together. I remember pressing play on that message while unlocking my door, smiling tiredly because for once, my life seemed predictable. Then the doorbell rang. At first I ignored it. It was raining hard, the kind of cold October rain that turned porch lights blurry and made the whole street look empty. But the bell rang again, longer this time. When I opened the door, I saw a baby car seat sitting on my welcome mat, half covered by a thin pink blanket already damp from the rain. For one impossible second, I thought someone had made a mistake. Then the baby inside stirred, her tiny mouth opening in a hungry cry that cut straight through me. A folded note was tucked beside her. I recognized my sister Amanda's handwriting immediately. It said, "Her name is Lily. I can't do this. Please take care of her. I'm sorry." That was all. No explanation, no phone call, no warning. I looked up and down the street, shouting Amanda's name into the rain, but there was no one there. I called her phone 12 times, straight to voicemail. My hands shook so badly I could barely lift the car seat inside. The baby smelled like formula, rain, and fear. I called my parents next because I still believed, stupidly, that family meant someone would come when everything fell apart. My mother answered first, and when I told her what had happened, there was a long silence. Then she said, "We told Amanda not to have that baby." My father got on the line, his voice hard and final. "She left her with you. She's your burden now." I remember saying, "She is your granddaughter." My mother replied, "We never asked for this." Then they hung up. That was the first time I understood that some people use the word family only when it benefits them. I had no crib, no diapers, no formula, no plan. I called my boyfriend and begged him to stop at a 24-hour store. He told me I should call social services before I ruined both our lives. When I said I could not hand my niece to strangers in the middle of the night, he said, "Then don't expect me to stay." By morning, I had lost my boyfriend, my old future, and every illusion I had about my parents. I drove to a supermarket in soaked sneakers, holding Lily against my chest while an elderly cashier helped me choose formula, bottles, diapers, and wipes. That first week was pure survival. I learned how to warm bottles by searching on my phone at 3 a.m. I slept on the couch beside a dresser drawer lined with blankets because I could not afford a crib yet. I filed a police report, but the officers said Amanda was not missing if she had chosen to leave. I met with a family lawyer who explained temporary guardianship would cost more money than I had saved. I sold my camera, canceled my gym membership, cut my grocery budget in half, and stopped buying morning coffee because every dollar suddenly belonged to a baby who had no one else. More than once, after nights when Lily cried until sunrise, I sat on the bathroom floor and wondered if I was strong enough to keep her. Once, I even looked up foster care information, my thumb hovering over the call button while she slept in the next room. Then she made a tiny sigh in her sleep, and I closed the page. I walked back to her, touched her little hand and whispered, "I don't know how to be your mother yet, but I know I won't abandon you too." The first year nearly broke me, but it also rebuilt me into someone I did not recognize. I moved from my one-bedroom apartment into a cheaper two-bedroom unit closer to the hospital, with thin walls, old carpet, and a kitchen cabinet that never closed right. To me, it felt like a palace because Lily had her own room. My coworkers threw together a small baby shower in the break room, giving me hand-me-down clothes, a used stroller, a second-hand crib, and more kindness than my own parents had shown. My neighbor, Mrs. Santiago, became the first person who treated Lily like a blessing instead of a problem. She taught me how to soothe colic, how to fold tiny onesies, how to survive on short naps and reheated coffee. My parents visited only when they wanted to criticize. My mother would look around my apartment and say, "You look exhausted," as if she had not helped create the exhaustion. My father barely touched Lily. He would ask if I had heard from Amanda, not because he cared about the baby, but because he was angry that the family embarrassment had not stayed hidden. When Lily turned 1, my parents said they had another commitment. Mrs. Santiago baked the cake instead. Lily smashed frosting across her cheeks while 5 people clapped like she had won the world. That night, while I cleaned cake from the high chair, I realized I was no longer keeping Lily because I had to. I was keeping her because my heart had already chosen. Years passed in routines that became sacred. Lily called me Nana first, then Mommy Nana, and eventually just Mom when she understood what the word meant. I kept a memory box under my bed with the note Amanda had left, Lily's hospital bracelet, birthday cards, school drawings, and letters I wrote to Amanda but never sent because I had no address. In those letters, I told her when Lily took her first steps, when she got chickenpox, when she learned to spell her name, when she cried because a classmate said families had to look alike. I never knew whether Amanda deserved those details, but I wanted Lily to know one day that I had not erased the truth. When Lily started kindergarten, I took a school nurse position so I could be home earlier. I gave up the promotion track at the hospital, but I gained afternoons helping with homework, Friday movie nights under blanket forts, and Sunday pancakes shaped like lopsided hearts. Lily played Little League softball for 1 season and spent most of it drawing flowers in the dirt near second base, but I cheered anyway. She loved art more than sports, science more than dolls, and apple pie more than birthday cake. Every year, on the anniversary of the night she arrived, we planted something small in a pot on our balcony. Basil, daisies, tomatoes, anything with roots. I told her families could grow in unexpected places. When she was 5, she drew a picture of us inside a red heart and wrote, "Heart Family." I cried in the kitchen where she could not see me, but happiness did not erase the shadow at the edge of our lives. Sometimes Lily asked, "Why didn't my first mommy stay?" I always answered gently, "She was not ready, sweetheart. That was not your fault." Sometimes she asked, "Will she come back?" I said, "I don't know." I thought I was protecting her with honesty. I did not know that, far away from us, Amanda had already begun rebuilding her life. I did not know my parents had found her years before and kept it secret. And I definitely did not know that one night, when Lily was 9, Amanda would like an old Facebook photo of Lily's first day of school, then unlike it minutes later. I stared at that notification for a long time, feeling the first cold warning in my stomach. Some storms announce themselves with thunder. Others begin with one quiet click. Amanda called me 3 weeks after that Facebook notification. Her voice was older, softer, and practiced in a way that made me uneasy. She said she was in town and wanted to meet. I did not tell Lily. Not yet. I met Amanda at a cafe while Lily was at school, and for a moment, seeing her walk in felt like looking at a stranger wearing my sister's face. She was 32 now, polished and calm, with a tailored coat, expensive handbag, and haircut into a smooth bob. She cried before I did. She told me she had been sober for 7 years, had finished rehab, earned a design degree, married a man named Thomas, and spent years regretting the night she left Lily with me. She said leaving Lily on my doorstep was the only decent decision she had made during the worst period of her life. Part of me hated her for saying it so beautifully. Another part of me wanted to believe her because Lily deserved as much truth and healing as possible. I showed Amanda photos: Lily's first tooth, first Halloween, first day of school, art shows, science fairs, missing front teeth, messy pancakes. Amanda touched the phone screen like it was a window into a life she had forfeited. "You raised her so well," she whispered. "Thank you." I consulted a child therapist before arranging their first meeting at a children's museum, neutral ground with bright colors and easy exits. Amanda was careful at first. She brought thoughtful gifts, not flashy ones: sketchbooks, astronomy stickers, a book about women scientists because Lily loved space. She never asked Lily to call her mom. She thanked me for every visit. I began to relax. That was my mistake. 6 months later, Amanda and Thomas invited us to dinner at their new house, 20 minutes from our apartment. I had not even known they were moving permanently to our city. The house had a white porch, a fenced yard, and a bedroom already decorated with stars and lavender curtains. "For Lily," Amanda said, smiling too quickly. The room was filled with things I had once wanted to buy Lily but could not afford: a telescope, an art desk, shelves of new books, a closet of dresses with tags still attached. Thomas was charming in the polished way of a man used to being believed. He complimented my dedication, my sacrifice, my strength. Then over dessert he said, "A child deserves every opportunity available to her." I felt the trap close before Amanda spoke. "I think Lily should live with us," she said. "I think Lily should live with us," she said. "Legally. I'm her mother, Natalie. I'm stable now." My fork hit the plate. "I am her mother," I said quietly. Amanda's face hardened for the first time. "You are her aunt, a wonderful aunt, but I am her biological mother." Thomas leaned forward. "We have a house, a yard, a better school district, more financial security. You work 2 jobs and live in an apartment. No one is denying what you did, but maybe it is time to do what is best for Lily." That phrase, "best for Lily," became their favorite weapon. My parents used it 2 nights later when they invited us to Sunday dinner for the first time in months. Amanda and Thomas were already there when we arrived, sitting in my childhood home as if they belonged there more than I ever had. My mother fussed over Amanda like a returned princess. My father said, "Your sister has worked hard to become the woman Lily needs." Then came the truth. They had been in contact with Amanda for 3 years. 3 years of knowing where she was. 3 years of visiting Lily with cold eyes while secretly waiting for Amanda to become presentable enough to reclaim her. My mother said, "Blood is blood." My father said, "You did your part." I stood so fast my chair scraped the floor. "Lily, get your coat." In the car, Lily was silent for 10 minutes. Then she said, "Grandma said I might go live with Aunt Amanda because she is my real mom. Is that true?" I pulled over because I could not drive with my heart breaking like that. I turned around and said, "You live with me. You are my daughter in every way that matters. I promise." She held out her pinky. "Cross your heart?" I crossed my heart. That night I found her crying in her sleep, whispering, "Don't take me." I sat beside her until sunrise. By morning, fear had turned into something colder. If Amanda wanted a fight, I would give her one. But I would not fight dirty. I would fight with every receipt, every record, every truth they thought I had been too tired to save. The certified letter arrived on a Thursday afternoon, folded inside an envelope so ordinary it almost seemed insulting. Amanda had filed to restore parental rights and petition for custody. Her attorney claimed I had intentionally alienated Lily from her biological mother and extended family. My parents submitted sworn statements supporting her. According to them, they had tried for years to maintain a close relationship with Lily, but I had blocked them. My mother wrote that I was possessive. My father wrote that I had confused the child into believing I was her mother. I read the pages twice before my hands started shaking. Then I called Julia Hernandez, the family law attorney a coworker recommended, and emptied nearly all my savings for her retainer. Julia was honest from the beginning. "Biology matters in court," she said, "but 10 years of stable caregiving matters too. We need to prove Lily's emotional reality, not just your legal position." So I began building the story of our life in documents. School records, medical forms, therapy notes, birthday photos, daycare receipts, parent-teacher conference logs, emergency contact forms with my name on every line. I gathered texts from my parents canceling visits, criticizing my parenting, refusing to help. I found old emails where my mother wrote, "We cannot be expected to clean up Amanda's mess." I found one from my father that said, "Do not ask us for money. This was your choice." Their lies became weaker with every saved message, but the stress reached Lily anyway. She stopped sleeping through the night. She cried before school. Her teacher called after Lily panicked during a class discussion about moving houses. The therapist said Lily showed severe separation anxiety triggered by the custody threat. One night, Lily looked at me and asked, "Why does a judge get to choose my mom when I already chose you?" I had no answer that did not hurt. I just held her and said, "Then we will tell the judge the truth." Amanda's side built a beautiful lie. They described a stable marriage, a perfect home, a generous future. Thomas presented himself as a successful consultant who could provide college funds and vacations. Amanda said she had returned because motherhood had always lived in her heart. But something about the timing gnawed at me. Why now? Why after 10 years? Why after 3 secret years of contact with my parents? Julia approved hiring the private investigator I had once used to find Amanda. This time, I asked him to investigate Thomas, their finances, and any reason custody suddenly mattered. The first report showed cracks. Thomas had a dismissed domestic dispute charge from a previous relationship. His consulting business was struggling. Their house was heavily mortgaged. Creditors had filed 2 recent collection actions. Then the investigator found searches Thomas had made through paid databases, social media archives, and legal records. He had been looking for Lily's biological father. Amanda had never told me his name, but Thomas had found him. Jason Reynolds, a man who had recently inherited several $1 million from his grandfather. The investigator explained the likely motive carefully. If Amanda regained custody, established paternity, and positioned herself as Lily's legal guardian, she might pursue financial support connected to that inheritance. Maybe not easily, maybe not cleanly, but enough to make a desperate man interested. My stomach turned. This was not a mother's sudden awakening. It was a strategy. Then came the worst discovery. Private messages between Amanda and my mother suggested my parents knew more than they admitted. One message from my mother read, "Once custody is restored, Natalie cannot keep acting like she owns Lily." Another from Thomas to Amanda said, "The Reynolds money changes everything. We need legal control before contacting him." I stared at those words until they blurred. Julia placed them into a sealed evidence folder along with financial records, screenshots, affidavits from Lily's therapist and teachers, and proof that my parents had lied under oath. "This," Julia said, tapping the folder, "is not just defense. This is the moment their story collapses." The night before court, Lily and I planted a small maple sapling in a pot on our balcony. She said trees were brave because they stayed where they were planted. I told her some trees survive storms because their roots are deeper than anyone can see. She leaned against me and said, "Are our roots deep?" I kissed the top of her head. "Deeper than they know. Courtrooms are quieter than people imagine, not peaceful, just quiet in a way that makes every breath feel recorded." I wore a navy suit I had bought on sale and carried a tote bag full of documents that represented 10 years of motherhood. Lily stayed with her art teacher that morning because Julia and the therapist agreed the courtroom would be too stressful unless the judge specifically requested to speak with her. Across the aisle, Amanda looked soft and sorrowful in a cream cardigan. Thomas wore a tailored suit and the expression of a man who believed money could polish anything. My parents sat behind them. My mother would not look at me. My father looked at me only once, with the same disappointment he had worn the night he told me Lily was my burden. Amanda testified first. She cried about addiction, recovery, regret, and second chances. Some of it may have been true, and that made it more dangerous. The best lies are built around pieces of truth. She said she had never stopped loving Lily. She said I had made contact difficult. She said she only wanted to give her daughter the life she deserved. Thomas spoke next, describing their home, their school district, their financial stability, and his desire to be a father figure. He said, "Natalie has done an admirable thing, but love sometimes means stepping aside." I felt Julia's hand touch my arm under the table, reminding me to stay still. Then, my parents testified. My mother said I had always been resentful of Amanda. My father said I had refused to let them bond with Lily. "Blood is blood," he told the judge. "A child belongs with her real mother when that mother is ready." When Amanda's attorney questioned me, he tried to make my life sound small. A 2-bedroom apartment, one income plus extra evening work. No husband, no backyard, no luxury vacations. He asked if I had ever considered that Lily might be better with 2 parents. I answered, "I have considered what Lily needs every day for 10 years. She needs safety, consistency, and the parent who has never left her." Then Julia began our case. Lily's teachers testified about her confidence, creativity, and attachment to me. Her therapist explained that removing Lily from my home could cause serious emotional harm. Mrs. Santiago described nights she heard me walking the floor with a crying baby, and mornings she saw me leave for work after 2 hours of sleep. My supervisor confirmed I had changed my career to fit Lily's needs. One by one, people told the truth that my family wanted to erase. I had not stolen Lily. I had raised her. Finally, Julia asked permission to submit the sealed folder. The judge accepted it. I watched him open it. Page 1. Amanda's original note. Page 2. My parents' messages refusing help. Page 3. Proof they had secretly contacted Amanda for years. Page 4. Screenshots about Jason Reynolds. Page 5. Thomas's database searches. Page 6. Financial liens against their home. Page 7. Messages discussing timing, custody, and legal control. The judge stopped reading, then looked up. His eyes moved from Amanda to Thomas to my parents. "Do they even know what you have?" he asked Julia, but his gaze landed on me. I nodded. Amanda whispered, "What is that?" Thomas leaned toward his attorney, suddenly stiff. My father's face changed first, not with guilt, but with calculation. He knew something had gone wrong. The judge called both attorneys to the bench. The room held its breath. When they returned, the judge's voice had lost all patience. "Ms. Morgan," he said to Amanda, "were you aware that your husband had been investigating Lily's biological father, specifically after that man received a substantial inheritance?" Amanda opened her mouth, closed it, then said, "Thomas handled some of that." "That is not an answer," the judge replied. Thomas tried to speak, but his attorney grabbed his sleeve. The judge continued, "This court has also been presented with evidence that your parents maintained contact with you for approximately 3 years, while testifying today that they were prevented from family involvement by Natalie Parker. That is a serious contradiction." My mother began crying. My father said, "We were protecting Amanda's privacy." The judge's expression hardened. "You were under oath." Then Julia entered the messages where my parents called Lily leverage, where Thomas wrote that the Reynolds inheritance could solve everything, where Amanda responded, "Only if custody is in my name first." Amanda broke then, not dramatically. She just seemed to fold inward. "I wanted to know my daughter," she said weakly. "But Thomas said we needed security. He said Natalie would never share control." "Control," the judge repeated. "Not relationship. Control." That word landed like a verdict before the ruling even came. The judge recessed for 40 minutes. During that time, no one spoke. Amanda stared at the table. Thomas stared at his phone until his attorney told him to put it away. My mother prayed under her breath. My father looked at me with anger, as if I had betrayed him by saving evidence of his own betrayal. When court resumed, the judge summarized the facts slowly and brutally. He acknowledged Amanda's recovery but condemned the deception. He noted Thomas's financial motive, my parents' misleading testimony, and the overwhelming evidence that Lily's stable emotional home was with me. Then he ruled. Amanda's petition for custody was denied. My guardianship would remain in place, with a path to full permanent custody. Amanda could have limited supervised visitation only through a family services program, contingent on therapy and honest disclosures. Thomas was barred from contact pending further review. My parents were denied unsupervised access and warned that their testimony could be referred for review if further false statements emerged. My mother sobbed. My father looked smaller than I had ever seen him. Thomas stood too fast, knocking his chair back, and his attorney ordered him to sit down. Amanda turned toward me, face wet. "Natalie, please. I didn't want it to become this." I looked at her and said, "It became this the moment you treated Lily like something to recover when your life got convenient." Outside the courtroom, my parents tried to stop me. My mother said, "We are still her grandparents." I said, "You were willing to traumatize her to win." My father snapped, "You think you are better than us?" I looked at the courthouse doors, at the sunlight beyond them, and answered, "No, I think I stayed." Then I walked away before they could steal another second of peace from me. When I picked Lily up that afternoon, she was sitting at her art teacher's kitchen table, pretending to color a picture of a garden. But the moment she saw me at the door, her crayon froze in her hand. She searched my face before she even stood up, as if she was trying to read the verdict in my eyes before I said a word. "Do I still live with you?" she asked, her voice so small it barely sounded like hers. I knelt in front of her and held both of her hands. For the first time in weeks, I let myself smile without fear hiding behind it. "Yes, sweetheart. The judge said you stay with me." For 1 second, she did not move. Then her whole body collapsed into my arms, and she held on so tightly I could feel her fingers digging into the back of my jacket. "You promised," she whispered against my shoulder. "You cross your heart promised." I closed my eyes and held her closer. And I kept it. That evening, we did not celebrate with anything fancy. I ordered pizza, bought a small tub of chocolate ice cream, and let Lily choose the movie, even though neither of us watched much of it. She kept scooting closer until she was practically sitting in my lap, like she needed to make sure no one could pull her away if she stayed close enough. I did not tell her every detail from court. A child does not need to carry adult betrayal in full weight. But I did tell her the truth she deserved. The judge listened. The judge understood. And our home was still our home. She fell asleep on the couch with her head against my arm, one hand wrapped around my sleeve. I sat there long after the credits ended, afraid to move, afraid to break the peace we had fought so hard to win. But winning in court did not magically heal everything. For weeks, Lily still woke up from nightmares. Sometimes she cried because she was afraid Amanda would be angry. Sometimes she cried because she felt guilty for not wanting to live with her birth mother. Sometimes she asked why Grandma and Grandpa would say things that were not true. Those were the hardest questions, because I could not protect her from the fact that adults can be selfish, even when they call it love. I told her, "People can be related to you and still make wrong choices. That does not mean you have to let their choices decide your life." Her therapist helped her put words to feelings that had been trapped inside her for months. Through drawings, Lily showed a house with deep roots, a storm above it, and two people holding hands inside. When the therapist asked who the people were, Lily said, "That's me and Mom." The storm came, but the house didn't move. Amanda's supervised visits began slowly. At first, Lily was polite but guarded, sitting close to me during every meeting, answering questions carefully. Amanda cried more than once, but to her credit, she stopped trying to make her tears Lily's responsibility. Thomas disappeared almost immediately after the custody case collapsed. Once the possibility of financial control was gone, so was his sudden interest in fatherhood. That fact hurt Amanda, but it also forced her to face the truth. Months later, she asked to meet me alone at the same cafe where she had first returned. She looked different this time, less polished, more human. She did not bring gifts, excuses, or legal language. She just sat across from me and said, "I was wrong. Not only in court. I was wrong from the beginning. You are Lily's mother. I gave birth to her, but you raised her." I let shame, fear, and Thomas's plans make me believe I could step back into a place I had abandoned. I did not forgive her instantly. Real forgiveness is not a button you press because someone finally says the right words, but I accepted the apology as a beginning. For Lily's sake, Amanda became what she should have asked to be from the start. A safe, honest birth mother who respected the family already built. My parents were harder. They did not apologize right away. My father called the judge unfair. My mother said I had humiliated the family. That word almost made me laugh. After everything they had done, they were still more worried about public shame than private damage. I met them in a quiet restaurant without Lily and laid out the new rules. Supervised visits only. No private conversations about custody. No telling Lily that Amanda was her real mother. No criticizing our home, my parenting, or our chosen family. No more lies disguised as concern. My father pushed his chair back and said, "You cannot keep our granddaughter from us." I looked him straight in the eye and said, I am not keeping her from love. I am keeping her from people who were willing to break her heart to prove a point. My mother started crying, but this time her tears did not move me the way they once had. I had spent too many years mistaking guilt for duty. Eventually, they agreed because the court had left them no room to control the story anymore. Their access to Lily became something they had to earn, not something they could demand with blood. A few months after the hearing, I received my promotion to Health Services Coordinator for the school district. The raise was not enormous, but to us it felt life-changing. We moved from our old apartment into a modest townhouse with a small backyard. Nothing fancy. The fence needed painting, the kitchen was outdated, and the upstairs hallway creaked every time someone walked across it. But Lily had a room with enough sunlight for her art desk, and outside, there was enough space for the tree we had been growing in a pot on our balcony. On her 11th birthday, we carried that young maple sapling into the yard together. Lily dug the hole with serious concentration, her hair falling into her face, dirt on her knees, determination in every movement. When we placed the tree into the ground, she pressed soil around the roots with both hands and said, "Now it can stay forever." I swallowed hard and said, "That is what roots are for." That night, after her small birthday party with friends, cake, and too many balloons, Lily handed me a homemade card. On the front, she had drawn the two of us standing beside the little maple tree. Inside, in her careful handwriting, she had written, "To my mom, who chose me every day. Biology makes relatives, but love makes family. Thank you for staying." I cried openly this time. I did not hide in the kitchen. I did not turn away. Lily hugged me and said, "Happy tears?" I nodded. The happiest. Looking back, I used to think my life had been interrupted the night Amanda left Lily on my doorstep. I thought I had lost the future I was supposed to have, the career path, the relationship, the peaceful apartment, the easy version of adulthood. But now I understand something I could not see then. My life was not interrupted. It was redirected toward the person who would teach me the deepest meaning of love. Lily was never my burden. She was my becoming. She made me stronger, softer, braver, and more honest than I ever would have been without her. My sister gave birth to Lily, and that truth matters. But motherhood is not one moment in a hospital. It is 10,000 ordinary moments afterward. It is staying awake through fevers. It is packing lunches when you are exhausted. It is learning new math because your child needs help with homework. It is holding them through nightmares, cheering at school events, saving every drawing, remembering how they like their pancakes, and choosing them again on the hardest days. Family is not proven by who shares your blood. Family is proven by who shows up when there is nothing to gain, who protects your peace, and who stays when leaving would be easier. So let me ask you this. If someone abandons you when life is hard, do they deserve full access when life becomes beautiful again? Would you forgive relatives who lied to take away the family you built? Or would you set boundaries, even if those boundaries made you look cold to people who never understood your pain? For me, the answer became simple. I did not win because I hated them. I won because I loved Lily more than I feared losing anyone else, and in the end, the strongest revenge was not destroying my family. It was proving that the family I built with love could not be destroyed by them.
We hope the story stayed with you beyond the ending. This video is fictional and made only for entertainment, education, and storytelling purposes. We hope it reminds you that betrayal often teaches you to listen not only to words, but to patterns, action, and the feelings you once ignored. When your head keeps warning you, sometimes the lesson is to trust yourself sooner.